Alright, in this video we're going to be talking about profits and discounts. And I know that we have already discussed discounts in the previous videos through examples, but at least in this video we're going to give it a more formal definition. So to begin with, we have to define what a profit is. So profit is how much money is earned after you sell a particular product. So this value is always going to be greater than zero. Otherwise, if it's equal to zero, you have made no profit. So that means that you have essentially not made any money out of selling a specific product or item. If the profit after you calculate it turns out to be a negative profit, then we call that a loss. So it means that you have actually lost money. So it was a very bad deal to begin with. And this is the kind of thing that we always want to essentially try to avoid when we're starting up a business or doing any kind of thing that requires selling products. This is the kind of thing that you want to avoid at any cost. And finally, we have something called the selling price. So basically, whenever you have a store, you have to buy the product from someone, and usually the store is going to buy the product from a specific company. So for example, if you're a company that sells mobile phones, you're going to buy your products from companies like Apple, companies like Samsung, and any others that you can think of. So that's going to cost you a certain amount of money. But usually what stores do is that they buy this in bulk. So in bulk means that you're buying a whole range of products at once. So instead of just buying one of, say, the new iPhone, you buy 100 units at once. And then by doing that, the company is actually going to give you a specific discount. So in the long run, this is going to increase the profit that you get from every individual sale because you're paying less for each of them. Alright, so now after that, there is something called the markup, which is essentially just how much profit you're going to make. So the markup is a specific amount of money or a specific price that you add to the cost of how much you spent buying the product from the company in the first place. And then the store is going to add that to the price. So in general, the markup is going to be less than the cost because otherwise customers would not really be tempted to buy from the store. They would rather buy it online from the company directly. And in general, the markup is going to be less than half of the cost price. So running a store can be quite tricky because the problem is that the only thing that makes it more advantageous than, say, buying something online is that you have it straight away. So basically you can go to the store, and if you have the product in the store, you can buy it and have the product in your hands on the same day that you go there. Whereas if you buy it online, then you have to wait a certain amount of days, weeks, sometimes even months, depending on where you're living and where the product is being bought from. So I guess in that sense there has to be some kind of trade-off between cost and how much you want to make out of that transaction. But basically the selling price is the price that you put for the product. So that's how much the customer is going to pay in the end. So to give you an example, you could probably buy a mobile phone for, say, $500, and that would be an expensive mobile phone. And then you want to make a profit of, say, $100, then the selling price would simply be $600. So the customer would pay this much. Then from those 600, you would take 500 to pay back the company you bought it from, even though originally you would have had to pay this much before they give the product to you. And then this is how much you would retain to the store and how much money the store has made. So to give you an example of that, let's say that you have a store and you want to buy, buy a product online for $300. So doesn't matter which product it is, it just costs $300 and you want to sell that. Let's say you want to make a profit of 30%. How much should you sell this product for? Well, if you want to make a 30% profit, essentially what you want to achieve is you're going to grab the original cost of the product, $300, and you want to add to that 30% of that original price. So the cost is how much the store pays for the product that they're going to sell. The price is what the customer pays for the product. And then basically we have this percentage here. So if we wanted to find out how much we would sell this for, so say the selling price would essentially be the cost. And then to add, we're going to add the percentage, but remember that we need to convert this to a decimal. So that would be 0.3 times $300. Or if you wanted to rearrange this and factor out the 300, you could write it as 300 times 1 plus 0.3. And then you could just write this as 300 times 1.03, as we have done sorry, that should be 1.3 here in previous videos. So if you put that in your calculator, that comes down as $390. So that's how much you would need to sell that product for if you actually wanted to make a 30% profit. Now, if you wanted to calculate, okay, let's say that I wanted to know exactly how much profit I'm making from this, what you would need to calculate is essentially the markup. And to do that, all you need to do is you need to subtract the original price from the new price. So you subtract the cost of the product, or essentially how much you paid for it, and then from the amount of money that the customer needs to pay for it, and then that would just be $90. Now obviously this may not seem like a lot of money, especially because you're going out and actually buying a product for $300. So that's quite a risk in itself, because just buying a product doesn't mean that someone else is going to buy it from you. Because remember that if you bought it online, it's very likely that any customer could actually buy it online themselves, and they would say, well, if I buy it online, I can save myself $90 rather than buying it from the shop. But obviously, if you have an actual legitimate business and you have the option to buy several products at the same time, they could actually give you a very reasonable discount if you buy in units of, say, 100. So let's say that you go and buy the same product, but you buy it by 100 units at a time. So the cost of each unit is $300. But then the company tells you, okay, so if you're gonna buy 100 units at once, I'm going to give you a 20% discount on the total cost of those units. So in that case, what you would actually end up paying would be 300 times 100, and then they're gonna give you a discount of 20% on the whole buy. So that means that you're gonna have 1 minus 0.2, so you're gonna discount the price, which is going to be equal to 30,000 times 0.8, and then this is gonna come down as $24,000. So already you can see that you're saving up to $6,000 by purchasing all those units in a bulk buy of 100 units per buy. So this is something that is done quite a lot when you're buying a lot of products at the same time from the same company. So this is basically the selling point for most small businesses and shops, is that if you buy things in bulk, you're always going to get some sort of discount. Obviously 20% is a little bit high. I mean, it's a bit optimistic, but in general you will get some discount. So it means that not only are you going to recover this amount of money after you sell all the units, but you're also going to get some extra profit from the fact that you already saved $6,000 on that. So here's where the actual good thing comes in, because if you're the owner of the business, then what you can do is you can say, okay, I still want a 30% profit on each of the units. So that means that each unit you're going to sell it by $390. And then obviously if you're assuming that you manage to sell all 100 units, then that means that you're going to accumulate $39,000. And now if you want to find out how much profit you have made, then what you would do is you would just subtract this from the original cost of that. And in this case, that would come down to $15,000. So what this means in this case is that you have recovered all the money that you spend on those products, but you have now earned an extra $15,000. And if we wanted to compare, or if we wanted to calculate the percentage profit in this case, all we would need to do is, so percentage profit would be equals to 15,000 over 24,000. So that was the original price. And then you're going to multiply this by 100%. So already you notice that all the zeros are going to cancel out. And then you're going to be left with 0.625 times 100%. And that comes down to 62.5% profit. So this is the kind of thing that you would normally see. Even though you originally wanted to make a 30% profit on each unit because the company gave you a discount on all of them, then your profit has actually doubled from what you originally intended. So that's more or less how businesses tend to work. And I think just being able to do these simple calculations is quite important if you ever go and work for a store or for retail or any kind of company that deals with this kind of things on a daily basis.